Welcome. Hello, I am Aspisis, and I'm going to be your host today from the Conclave of Aratar, bringing you some community information to help you decide on where you want to settle within our ranks. For those of you new to the channel, we're a community gathered around the upcoming game, the Chronicles of Elyria, a game in development by Soulbound Studios. If you're interested in learning more about this upcoming game, there is a link below that should take you to their website. Um, like mentioned before, we are members of the Conclave of Aratar, a duchy within
I need you to hook it up so I can send her.
a duchy within the Kingdom of Vornair. And we're going to be introducing you to members of the community, discussing some topics about our community and the game, the Chronicles of Elyria. Joining us this week is, as a guest is TJ Solister. If you want to say hello, TJ.
Hello, how's it going, everyone, tonight?
So TJ, you've been part of this community for a while, haven't you? It's
Yeah,
been a year plus now,
uh, roughly. I can't
roughly.
remember.
Yeah, when you're waiting for a game, it time kind of blends together.
Well, when you're
Uh,
always working, and also
um,
time blends in together.
no, you live for this. You live for this game. You live for this life, right?
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
what consumes your ever waking
This
um,
is my full-time job,
full-time job is a
80 hours a week.
a Chronicles of Elyria enthusiast. Anyway, so what we do in this format is we talk to community members about things that are exciting to us about the game, the Chronicles of Elyria. We try to get to know you a little better, get to know the game and the Conclave of Aratar. And so with that in mind, we're gonna go through a few questions. We're gonna go through a few subjects and talk about yourself as an individual, your community. You're a count level holder, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. That I am.
Um, and then you're also the elder of law enforcement,
Yeah, civil protection.
civil protection.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I'm gonna try to give a little bit more about myself. We haven't had a spotlight on me. Not that I love talking about myself. But if you're new to the channel, my name's Aspisis. In game, Aspisis Kishlansky. I'm the Elder of Strategic Acquisitions and the Mayor of Vindeberg. Um, so with that in mind, we're gonna try to just jump right into the questions. We generally start by, telling us a little bit about yourself. In this case, can you tell us a little bit about your gamer tag? Tell us something about, the games you've played, the things you enjoy in the gaming world.
Oh, I play all sorts of games. See, usually first started out playing like WoW and stuff on the PlayStation, and then moved from other stuff. Played some Modern Warfare 2. Had way too much time in that. Play that much. But generally, it's more of like simulation, turn-based. Real RTS is my favorite. Fantasy, all that fun stuff.
So the
I
name
got my name. What?
I was just gonna get into, your name TJ
Oh,
Solister. You also go by the alias Reading Rainbow. You're not
yeah.
what is it? LeVar Burton in disguise, are you?
Who knows? You will never know
Anyway,
unless you found
TJ.
me in real life. So
Yeah, I'd be
mostly,
doubtful.
mostly my name is just I wanted something simple, easy to say. I usually go by TJ in most games, anyways. So and then sometimes I use Soul, so I use Soul for the last name, but it needed to be longer. So I brooded over that for a good while and figured Solister. I always like stars and space. That's the other genre of games I like is space stuff.
The final frontier, they say.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm never like current times. I always like fantasy medieval times, or I like futuristic space stuff.
in an old soul stuck in a cybernetically enhanced body.
Yes,
Yeah. Um,
super fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, and so know a little about myself. Aspisis, for me actually comes back to a old short story I wrote, and ooh, this would have been, gosh, 10 years ago or so. I was going under the alias Falco Dogwood at the time, I believe. But short story I wrote is a Greek tragedy, and the character Aspisis, which was supposed to come from an ancient Greek word meaning shield, was this character that kind of pissed off the Greek gods by protecting somebody they had their eye on, and therefore was sentenced to eternal torment in hell, the Greek hell.
Well, I mean, you are messing with a Greek god after all.
Well, yeah, and
What's that supposed to?
they are so fickle. I mean, I've played God of War. I know how this works. Um, but yeah, no. So that's basically where I come from. Um, the games I've played in the past, I've done my fair stint of WoW, Lineage, Deloria, if you ever remember that. Yeah,
You've been
some old.
around.
I've been around a while. You know the strategy like building games, your standard Warcraft and StarCraft type strategy games, Age of Empires, that sort of thing. So, generally I try to stick to, um, PvE, MMO-like type games, PvP shoot 'em uppers, FPSs like PlanetSide 2 or PUBG, Fortnite, or some sort of mix in between with some structure creating similar to RimWorld and Age of Empires and those sort of things. Um, this gives us an idea, and let's transition, I guess, a little better here to, we are setting up these videos to try and expose the community, expose individuals who either currently are looking for people to talk and play games with, or in the future who will be excited about the Chronicles of Elyria game and want to know a little bit more. So, with that in mind, we try to be leaders. At least the first of us are trying to be leaders. Your account, you'll have a community around yourself. So what does leadership mean to you? What do you see as leader-like qualities?
Well, I mean, it's just leadership. I mean, you want to be able to give out commands that people will follow and not cause anything to go haywire, because one screw up can go a super long way and ripple through the whole community. So really, leadership is just going on about finding the best possible solutions to problems for everyone to follow.
Now that's in a cooperative sense, would you say?
Yeah, there's no I in team.
But there is an M and an E, so dictators can feel justified there.
Well, I mean, if you want me to be a dictator, I can be a dictator. I have no problem with that. I'm
and you
just trying to be fair and just. I mean, I am civil protection after all. I have to be fair and equal.
fair and equal. No, 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 that's definitely true. Um, Yeah, and to me, I think you're going to hear a lot of, maybe it's a resounding bell whenever we talk about leadership at the conclave, because a lot of us hold very similar leadership ideals. Um, but it's about, at least in the game environment, it's about the overall enjoyment of the community. So, when you're making decisions as somebody that people may look up to, uh, it's about finding something that, they say the best deal leaves everybody unhappy, and that may be true in some situations, but I think there's a middle ground there where the best deal has pros and cons for every party, and that people are going to go away a little disgruntled, but overall they're satisfied.
Yeah,
Um,
hopefully they're satisfied. I mean, come on.
well, you're right.
Can't
You're right.
satisfy everyone because there's always going to be somebody that's upset about something.
Yeah, no, and I mean everybody has different goals in this game, as we're excited about its development as we're thinking about the things that are upcoming, that are being spotlighted by the Soulbound community. And so when we talk about the Chronicles of Elyria, TJ, what excites you about that? What are some of your goals there?
Leading and developing a city and owning land.
Are
Because
you
you never see that in games right now. Is like owning land and being able to build on it. I mean, you might be able to own a city, or not a city, but like one little house in a city, but you don't see this scale of ownership.
Oh, so are you suggesting that you're a possessionist? All the land belongs to me, and
No,
that's oh, okay, okay.
that's why I'm only a count.
Ah, yes, yes. No, if we were possessionists, we would be dukes and kings and lords
Yeah,
above all. Yes, yes, yes. No.
or I'd just be a regular citizen and go try to take a kingdom.
Well, that's true. That's true. That is an option that everybody
Yeah,
that is an option that everybody gets here.
yeah, you
Um,
can be some Joe Schmo that just spawned in, or some plain Jane, and try to go take over the world if you want, but gotta have backing.
and I think you point out something, unique to the game here that's exciting for a lot of the community, and it's that sense of ownership, the idea that, that plot of land is yours and you get to cultivate it. You sow the field and reap the benefits from your actions. You know,
It's always cause and effect.
yeah, cause and effect. Um, I know myself, the idea of being able to affect things across. So if you're an old Eve player, if you've dabbled around with the marketplace in WoW or any of the other open market like systems, whether it be RuneScape or I never played the Old Republic, but I've heard that was rather robust as well.
I don't
Um,
know. The only one I can think of is Eve, because that's pretty much like super hardcore
yeah, it's a player-driven economy,
commercial. Yeah.
but
Well,
you
you can say it's player driven, but it's really coalition and alliance driven.
potato, potato. But the idea that you have an effect on the world around you. If TJ, if you're gonna start selling wine, like I believe you'd like to in this game,
Yeah.
um, you know, you're gonna get the chance. I get the chance to start selling wine cheaper and better, and that sort of thing. And
Well, just because you say it's better, I mean,
uh,
they are going to implement the like soil construct where let's say you're in a certain county and I'm in a different county. Our soil composition is not going to be the same thing, so it's going to be like in the real world with terroir, where you won't get the same flavor benefits from something that was grown in Germany compared to what was grown in Michigan.
yeah, no, and that variability in the your ability
Yeah,
to
he,
create
he does
something.
he does love soil. I do remember him in a Q&A say how he was super excited about that.
Yeah, Dandelion brings up an interesting point. No accounting for taste here, so I
Well,
may say
you
better.
don't know
And
that.
oh, you're well.
Minerals can increase certain vitality stuff, while others only make
Well, the this
charisma buff.
the nice rose color of the wine created in the Vindeberg region. I mean, it has a certain appeal to people who don't like the dark purple that's grown and processed in your county.
Color doesn't really matter. Really, pink rosé is just a white wine that they let sit with some grape skins.
Oh, you're right. It's not a real wine, rosé
Yeah,
drinkers out there.
yeah,
So
it's not really.
you're the elder of civil management? No, law enforcement. So one of the goals that you have listed here is to build up the duchy sheriffs,
Yeah, well,
and set
kind
up.
of really, in a sense, I'm really the only sheriff right now because no one's come to me saying they want to be a sheriff. But every county is gonna eventually have a sheriff because it is duchy picked. It's not count picked. I mean, you can. I'm not sure how we're gonna work it out yet because I'm still waiting for more information because I literally only have a or not even a paragraph. I have a sentence on sheriffs from COE, and it's really they have the ability to go out and track people, and they hand out bounty tokens and can place bounties in areas like on bounty boards.
So for those of you who are new to the game, you know what TJ's talking about right now is the bounty system in the Chronicles of Elyria. And yeah, like he says, there's not a lot of information about it right now. Now, do we know if only the governing if only the government is able to hand out bounty tokens, or do we know if that's maybe going to be something that is if you've got enough cash and you can support the reward for your bounty that anybody could put it out there?
Well, I mean, I don't know how they're going to try to work out bounty tokens, but it sounds like it's only for people that break the law. So if you rob someone and somebody knows that it's you because they saw you committing it, and then a bounty token gets made, and then that sheriff gets that bounty token, and they can put that sign up. It doesn't stop people from posting an ad on the board that says, "Hey, I'm going to pay this much money for you to go find this person because he skipped out on paying me like 200 gold for or whatever person bought."
Sure, sure, sure. So there may not be in-game benefits from somebody freelancing a bounty, but if you can fall within the bounds of the bounty system, maybe there's some reputation bonuses or the like.
We don't know because, like I said, I have a
Speculating.
sentence.
Oh yeah, yeah, speculating though. I mean, this is in an area of gray. You're allowed to inject color, aren't you?
Um, Not always.
Uh, Potato, potato. I like speculation, especially in this form. Um, and then you've got your winery. You've got this this idea for a winery for everybody to enjoy. You know, you work a hard day tracking down the scum and criminals of the world, and come home and enjoy a smooth glass of wine.
Yeah, I mean, in my county, I actually changed the name, so now it's Bela. So that's the county name, and then the actual city that my capital will be is Black Crystal. I'm hoping to put together a nice little winery up there, and so it's going to be Black Crystal wines. Come from the region.
Interesting. We just had an interesting question posted in the chat, and we're gonna
See that?
circle back to that when we start talking more in depth about your position. Um, but I definitely encourage those of you listening to ask questions as appropriate as you think of them. Um, but enough about you, TJ. Let me blow the old horn for a while about myself. So I'll try to be quick. Basically my goals in the Chronicles of Elyria is I want to create a city of industry, a city of industry. Rockport, no, not Rockport, Winterberg. A little quick shout out to the McElroy brothers. If you know the Adventure Zone and that podcast, City of Industry. Anyway, it's going to be a place for the crafting environment that I want to nurture that crafting environment in my local space and try to facilitate the movement of those crafted goods between towns. I've also got a side project known as the Black Foxes, which are a group of mercenary-like traders. um, yeah, a group of mercenary-like traders whose only purpose is to be able to get to the front lines when supplies are needed through, conflict-rich areas. So, um, black foxes, slippery fellas. Um, yeah, yeah. I hope that TJ, I think you can attest to this. The goals of each individual person in the Chronicles of Elyria as a game that they will be a symbiotic relationship with the rest of the players. And I think when we come talking to about Dandalalon's question here about the deviant lifestyles and how that interacts with your role, we'll get to talk about that a little bit more. But for right now, you mentioned you relabeled yourself as Balin.
Yeah, Bela.
Bela, Bela, perfect.
Yep.
That's your county, and you've got the Crystal City, the Crystal Spire. Um, we're gonna talk
Black
a little
Crystal Keep.
Black Crystal Keep. I'm so sorry. Not for you not naming it correctly, just that's
I'm,
that's a three-word title. Who's gonna remember? No. Tell us
well, it's
about
not the title of its city.
well, it's the title of the city though. Look, anyway, semantics. Here we go. What's the vision of your settlement? What is this gonna be
Well, I
like
mean,
here?
the name is always TBD unless I find something better. I mean, really, I mean, the vision of my settlement is pretty much focusing on more of the agricultural side. So we're gonna do wine, beer. What my hopeful production focus is gonna be with regular old other industry added in. So like regular blacksmith because you're gonna need that. Tourism because I want it to be a nice touristy area because vineyards are always very lovely to sit out and drink by in the summertime and spring. So it's always going to be good. And then I'm hoping because I'm going to also help out with the Explorers Guild. Hopefully I'll be in like I'm more internal, but I'm depending on how the duchy picks, I might be a little more northern, but still like in a hilly plains area, because I feel that has hopefully will give us better soil along a river or next to a large lake or a moderate sized lake. I'm not sure. Again, it's always when the map comes out, whenever it comes out, we don't know. And then bounty hunting because I am part of the law enforcement, so I want to help encourage and can either do like a training thing. I'm still trying to think of how to set up my civil protection stuff with the sheriffs and guards and stuff, but I'm hoping to help facilitate training to help get people going that may not know how to do that kind of stuff because they will also be like part of the military, some of them, if they want to be. So pretty
Yeah,
much the vision of the county.
yeah, yeah. So, you mentioned, by a river, on a stream, some fields, some flat land. You know, the way you describe it, it sounds very analytical. Um, what role does ambiance play in your county? What is that feel that you have you're looking for a very rural setting, it sounds like, right?
Well, we're in medieval times, so we're not going to have large cities the size of Manhattan or New York laying about where there's skyscrapers all over the place. So I
So
mean, it
so no 2 o'clock traffic, no rush
no.
hour. Oh well, that's
I
that's what
mean,
I was getting into this game for, was the endless lines at the DMV.
there's plenty of games. I mean, you can play. I'm sure there's a game called Traffic Simulator where you wait in traffic for hours and hours. Oh wait, that's called real life.
And if real life wasn't real enough for you, I'm sure the viewers here could find something that's similar.
Yeah.
Um, so, I'm not coming in at one of those high and mighty counts. Just a lonely old mayor here. But my city, the city of Vindeburg, it sounds very dramatic. Is We're currently just a community of 17 people that I've gamed with in the past across different FPSs and role-playing servers and stuff like that. Um, Fairly close. Anyway, the general focus of the community is on raw resource production. So if you need wheat, we can get you wheat. You need timber, we can get you timber. Or a basic resource is what we're focusing on. That doesn't mean that if you want to craft the best sword in the world that you can't come to Vinterberg and you know work your trade. In fact, it's probably a great idea to do that. But what I'm gonna push for, what I'm gonna focus on personally, and what a lot of the community members are planning on doing, come down to the creating the tools for you to create better things and profiting from those. Like hopefully set in a transition area between safe and PvP areas. We like a little bit of both. We like safe because you can world build, you can create structures. um, certain resource in the town. To be determined, High Elder of Knowledge. When you know, I'll know. Uh, yeah, it all depend on the location. We are committed resident of Lycan Forest. If you remember back a few episodes, um, Black Bob is the count of that county. We lean heavily towards Broodveer Naren kind of uh, um, biomes and races. Not terribly particular, but you know, maybe that means we bring you sticks. Maybe that bring means we get some iron from the Hrothi or mine it ourselves. I don't know yet.
So,
That's
so are you just gonna sharpen some sticks and send them to Bob in the front lines?
well, that's true. Sharpened pencils. We'll make sure that they have true lead inside of them, covered with
Ah,
spit or something. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. To the
and
front
like your
lines, my black foxes. Bring those sharpened pencils. If you've ever been in a middle school classroom with sharpened pencils, I mean, horror stories from my early years. I'm sure it's similar for everybody else. But yeah,
who
no,
doesn't
that
have memories of sharpening 12 pencils in a row?
yeah, 12 pencils, a contraption with rubber bands with which to shoot said pencils to your, enemies slash frenemies in the area nearby. As we get to the idea of, we've talked about the county, and you didn't mention anything about the Crystal City. The What was it called? It was
Black crystal?
the Black Crystal. The Black Crystal.
Well, it's not it's just black crystal.
Oh,
The name of it.
well, BCK is apparently what it's been listed as.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
the
still TBD, so
oh, it's
who
still
knows?
TBD, so it might change. I don't feel so bad now. Um, so your local area, uh, that's your seat of government, is it? Is there a leadership structure in your seat of government?
Well, I have stuff that is open, so I have all the positions for the county leadership open still. Don't really have any in my county yet. I only have like our little friends that are together that want to do inns, so they're gonna set up a nice inn in the county somewhere. Probably I don't know if they're gonna do it in my main city or if they're gonna try to do another city, but pretty much I don't have anybody right now. I'm
So what
pretty much taking charge in all of it
taking charge of all, a go-getter,
until other people start coming and
so what
wanting to do that stuff.
what type of people are you thinking about here? You say people who want to do that kind of stuff. You looking for crafters? You looking for people to pick up the reins of the community? Or what's the
All sorts of people. I mean, we are primarily focused on farming, breeding, and crafting, so like-minded individuals that like that stuff and who would like to, just improve the community.
perfect? So our advertisement, like people in the conclave, if they're talking about TJ's county here, if they're talking about Bela, then it's going to say, come to Bela, like-minded individuals needed for agriculture and crafting.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, yeah, no. So
I'll fix it.
Intermittent pause.
I'm very sorry for that, people. I'm troubleshooting my security system while streaming online. So if you want the password and username, I'm sure we can get those to you. My wife just smiles at me.
You,
Um,
you have to fix it though.
the leadership structure of my settlement, everything's run by my wife, and I just enjoyed the game. No, we
Isn't
don't
that real life anyways?
real life, anyways. No, no. So we don't have a dedicated leadership structure right now. There's a degree of hand holding that'll occur at the moment for just player needs. The town in general is whatever goes goes kind of place, as long as it conforms to the duchy and kingdom laws that we don't have control over. Um, so basically, if you want to come in and you want to perform it, do live a lifestyle, whether it be our role playing or downfall of chaos. No, role playing or crafting, or you want to practice your PvP skills. Those are all kind of acceptable things, and the decision will come down to whoever is mayor, myself, most likely at the time, whether or not that is conducive to the community as a whole. So if you're going through and you're stabbing kids in the chests because you're a murder hobo,
I hope you're not stabbing
chances,
kids in the chest.
well, there are people out there, especially in the gaming environment. The idea there is, that's probably not conducive to the community as a whole, and wouldn't be ideal. If you're respectful of the community, I don't see too much of an issue. Now, of course, if after this broadcast that community size of 17 turns into 1017, things are going to change. So we'll see. It's a growing game. So
Yeah, I mean, everything's TBD pretty much because who knows how it's gonna happen.
yeah, no, exactly. Like
I mean, they might give us information today, and then 3 weeks later, it's completely 180'd.
yeah, and we're what do we Utogi, who's in chat right now, right, might remember the exact date, exact in quotation marks because there's not an exact date, but we're still a year or so away from full release now.
I mean,
You
we know
know,
what happened to Star Citizen.
we do know what happened to Star Citizen, but the game is growing, the community is growing, and we're adapting as that occurs. And you know, we encourage at the Conclave individuals to come up with a rich and vibrant history for their communities, their settlements. I like to use the analogy of Lord of the Rings. So if you ever look or listen to the background or the commentary in the Lord of the Rings as they talk about the sets, the backgrounds, the Weta Workshop, and all the effort that goes in. Full release sometime in 2020 as last given news. Anyway, the
Maybe.
the 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 Weta Workshop, the backgrounds, the tailors, the people who created these media, and the amount of detail that they put into those movies, is phenomenal. As any movie gets a lot of detail put into it, um, and the our ability to create a history when one can't exist, basically. Um, is the enrichment that we see on our community. So we look for people to create lore behind their settlements, their individuals, their characters. Um, so TJ, have if you can give me a brief history about how did your settlement become established? What history do you know of at this point?
I'm still working on that, but I'm thinking of going back within the Vornir timeline where that had the most recent war, and because I have said it's a newer county and it's only been around for a couple generations, so thinking about going back to that war and then how they have always been helping out with like law enforcement, so they were like the rear guard protecting the supply lines to the front lines. But I mean, I'm still working on it because I'm not the best at lore, but I I have visions that and ideas in my mind that I cannot put on words.
Ah, but you could
You know,
vocalize them. So if we have that advertising
sometimes.
statement, if we have that advertising statement, it'll say, Bela looking for agricultural types, breeders, and enforcement types, and somebody who wants to take on the burden of writing the story.
Yeah,
Um,
why not? I'll
yeah.
add that in there. Just keep adding stuff. Why not?
Well, I mean, when we finally post this
Laundry list,
advertisement,
right?
laundry list, shoot for the stars. At least you'll
I
land on the
want
moon.
I want this and this and this and this and this and this and just keep going on and on. I mean,
Sending
why
very,
not, right?
oh yeah, you're sending very heavy I messages here, TJ. Um,
I mean, I already have a forum post online.
See, look at that, a single forum post. I am proud of you.
Yeah.
So establishment of settlements, as far as I've written so far, the Kishlansky family that is my character's namesake. You know, Kishlansky, love that name. Um, were once pirates. I know now the tension in the room just got a little thicker,
Yar har har.
TJ. You know, we were rebellious lawbreakers, and now you're a man
Well, I
of the
mean,
law. Oof.
I'm not the Navy.
You know, you're right. You're not the Navy. If crime happens on the seas, it's not a
Yeah,
sheriff's
that's
job.
supposed
That's
to be
true.
the Duchy of the High Seas, so it's
Mm-hmm.
not my
Oh,
jurisdiction.
perfect. See, now that tension just got cleared up. No, by the request of my community, we were pirates and we were searching for treasure and booty upon the high seas when tragedy struck us. And after trying to establish our city in a few different locations, we settled upon where we're sitting currently in Lacon County, though it wasn't Forest, Lacon County when we settled in it. And through the creation of Lacon Forest and the War of Many Banners, and you know, lore-wise, not that this ever happened. Of course, it happened. If it's on the internet, it happened, and now it's on the internet.
Of course,
Um, you know, the
internet's
black
always true.
internet is always true. Is this cancer? Of course, the internet is always true. Um, the Black Foxes, the supply route, played a crucial fictional role in the War of Many Banners. Um, you know, I've got thousands of trophies on my walls showing the fictional battles that that group participated in. They're all fictional trophies, of course, but
Don't you have pictures of these fictional trophies? I mean, come on.
you know,
Gotta
one of these times here, maybe next time I'll add a
didn't
slide.
prepare.
You're right, you're right. I didn't think the fictional trophies were gonna come up, but then I just start yapping my mouth.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta showcase your fictional trophies. I mean, why else would you have trophies?
That's true, that's true. And you know, speaking of trophies and titles and that sort of thing, you know, we want to break down our leadership structure in the conclave. So those of you who are just joining into us, you know, we kind of run a two-sided structure when it comes to the day-to-day mechanics, the responsibilities that can be grouped into certain umbrellas like commerce, war, justice, knowledge, um, statecraft, interior, those sort of things. Um, so we have these two arms of functional government. Not to say that our counts who have another arm um, aren't functional. They're completely functional. But you know our elder system has two arms, two functional arms on it. And so we're going to talk a little bit about our roles in the Department of Commerce and the Department of Justice, and give you some information about those and a little feel for what they're set up like, what the expectations are at the moment. Um, as the expectations are. So
What are you waiting for me to chime in or
no,
something?
no, no. I was reading the chat and
Oh,
um, comments abound.
I didn't see the
Um,
newest comment.
so let's start out with you, TJ. You're the elder of civil protection, the elder of law enforcement, the elder of civil control. Take your pick of the titles. I think you go with civil protection, right?
Yeah, civil protection. That's what it used to be, but now I guess it might be changing to law enforcement. Who knows?
Half a dozen of one.
I think law enforcement's more of a modern term, so I think civil protection is better for the medieval side, in my opinion.
I mean, we could take this back even further than just civil protection. We could say this is
The
the
knightly
depart
order.
this is the knightly order of kickassery. Um,
Yeah, why
so
not?
yeah, right, right. I
I
mean,
mean,
you're
it
the
draws people in.
if you say it's the law, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
well, I mean, people make the laws. I just enforce them.
oh, you're right, you're right. No power there, of course. The internal security
Oh,
force structure. What are you thinking about that for right now? You've talked about sheriffs, talked about, some basic stuff. Well, what more can you share?
I mean, most of what I do is I oversee all the peacekeeping force, and we have to make sure that there's adequate size force to ensure the duchy protection and the leadership in it, and ensure that all the laws are being maintained properly because the laws go from kingdom down to duchy, down to county, down to mayor or city, however you want to put it.
So there's an element of the player base that exists, that will exist, that
That
believes
has
in that believes in the deviant lifestyle. They play games for the lawlessness that they can attain. Um, how does that play into, your security force structure and all that stuff?
well, I mean, it depends on what kind of deviant stuff there is because there is some stuff that I mean they just had an exclusive Q&A, but I have to go through it again and see if I'm actually allowed to say this stuff. But I'm obviously not going to say it until I figure that out. But deviant style is a force that is needed because I mean no one's ever going to be 100% positive, like super happy light side. There's always going to be a middle yellow where you do some deviant stuff, but then you go back to your normal, everyday, happy life. And then there's other people that just want to be carrot farmer Joe, growing his carrots, selling them on the market, going back. So, I mean,
Suggesting,
it,
of course, that, a Care Bear-like environment
yeah,
100% of
I
the
mean,
time
there.
is not.
If you look at it like a stop sign, the green is the Care Bears, yellow is the. I'm okay with some PvP or doing other stuff that's like deviant style, like breaking into a little cave or something that might be owned or a house to get something that was taken. And then there's those other ones that are like uh, the ones that actually want to just be deviant and do nothing else but that and go out and loot, pillage, and all other sorts of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and I think, there's a side of this coin that a lot of people don't really recognize with not an aggressive, but a healthy justice system. Individuals who want to play a deviant lifestyle. I think that amps up the anticipation. What's the point of stealing if, nobody's ever going to notice or get caught, or, it's not going to have any effect?
I mean, most of the time, crimes are committed for the thrill.
Hmm. So you're
Not
a
just,
you're a thrill provider is what you're saying, right?
sure, we can
So,
go with that. I mean, I'm not providing the thrill, it's the people that are having the thrill of being caught stealing that stuff.
well, you support a system that could be thrilling, right?
Sure.
So, a question from the audience here. A certain defense size it may be necessary. You know, we don't see a draft being possible, do we? What does it look
Well, I
like when
mean, the
lawlessness?
draft is more military force. I can't enforce a draft. That's your high elder or of war side. So, I mean, there are going to be people like the guards that are in the baronies that aren't really doing military stuff that they can be guards too. So, I mean, there's always going to be stuff. It's not always just going to be player people that are being the guards and whatnot and sheriffs. There are NPCs. They just might not be always the best.
And I'm glad you bring that up, the NPCs. You get the idea that the Chronicles of Elyria is just 100% players in a player environment and whatnot. And that is true. There's a lot of players that are populating the game. But there's also going to be NPCs, not to mention that when a player logs off of the game, the Chronicles of Elyria, what happens to them? They turn into an
They,
NPC, don't they?
yeah, yeah, you get an OPC script that pretty much you make and say that you're gonna do this. So, and say that you're gonna go walk around town and eat this or buy this, and then go home and do that until you get back, and your offline character will continue to do that, whatever the script you told it to do.
Yeah, yeah, no. So I think for those of us amongst the audience that are wondering, how does their play fi style fit into the game, the Chronicles of Elyria? I think the answer is that's up to you. You know,
And you gotta find what you're good at and what you like, and go for it.
Yeah, definitely. Like the developers aren't putting any roadblocks in the way for you.
They're
So if
not giving out handouts either.
no, they're not giving out handouts and they're not putting up roadblocks. So if you want to be a corporate spy, you could be a corporate spy. Eve taught us that that's completely possible. Um,
Really, I can't say corporate. I can't know corporate espionage. That would be a separate department, I would think.
well, it depends. We'll see. I mean, you enforce the laws, so if I say
Ask that
or
when you have insight.
yeah,
Convince some
that's
opinions
a good
about that.
that's a good future question, but I think what we're getting with the Department of Civil Protection here is, you enforce the laws that exist to your best ability. So
Yeah, I mean, I can't go out and say, "Yep, this product looks like this product because it's uh, made with the same parts from this document that says that they put it through and got approved that this is they can only make it."
yeah, this
I
you can't
I
tell
can't
that
do
it's
that.
100% Bela wine. This could be
Yeah,
muddled down with something. Who knows?
yeah. Or maybe even like a wagon. Who knows? Maybe somebody wants to put a document together that says they can only make this wagon, and if somebody makes this exact wagon with the same parts and same materials, then they gotta pay.
Yeah, interesting, interesting. Though,
But who knows?
if you buy a one-wheeled wagon, I guess that's also on you.
I mean, I wouldn't buy a one-wheeled wagon.
Yep.
I mean, unless it's a unicycle.
A unicycle. And speaking of wagons, it's a unicycle. Speaking of wagons and unicycles, so my position within the conclave is the elder of strategic acquisitions. Mouthy word to make me sound important, but basically, what I do is identify, maintain records and production of resources of importance. So what does that mean? You got iron in your area, and I know you've got iron in your area. I'm gonna remember you've got iron in your area. And if you suddenly stop producing with that iron, as you have the right to do, maybe we help you so that you're not stopping because you know, it's a position and agency that looks to work with you to make sure that you're being efficient and
Well,
effective.
maybe they ran out of iron.
No,
Then what?
there's the never-ending supply of iron. Of course, we can't run out of resources. No, I mean that is definitely a possibility. You could run out of iron, and then what do you do with all
Yeah.
those iron workers you've got? NPCs galore have been
Well,
surviving on the iron trade in your county. How do you make sure that
hopefully
they
you
don't?
find a new resource to exploit and use.
And see,
Because
and
I mean, some
that's
places are gonna have a little thing of iron that they can do, and maybe it runs out. But who knows? Maybe you have a gold mine or a silver mine that you have to discover.
Yeah, and then I think that's part of the job of the elder of strategic acquisitions is to, assist in those means of production and advice in those areas. We're going to facilitate, or I'm going to facilitate, the department is going to facilitate the movement of resources between areas of supply and areas of demand. So if you've got 500 iron swords that are sitting inside the city of oh gosh, Blackstone, and they need to come to the 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 Black Crystal. You know, that's gonna be something that I will facilitate, and then we're gonna help crafters to succeed in the kingdom market. So we want, as the Duchy of Aratar, to be a competitive force in the kingdom and world economy as much as we can. We're still figuring out, information about trading and about the game and what is this going to look like. Um, but when we get those details, being able to, you know, communicate best practices. When we were talking with the High Elder of Knowledge Utogi, we talked about doing, videos of different subjects, different topics for listeners, for people to kind of see, hey, I'm running a farm and I'm raising carrots. Well, if you harvest your carrots every 3 days, or you water them every 6 hours, there's a little min-maxing that can be done, and
Do these carrots have legs that they walk? I
they
mean, you're
could,
raising them.
we could have this carrot become a labor force to raise barns and mine iron, and then
Can't
suddenly
Canis rabbits.
Canis rabbits, yep, look at that. the carrots are gonna rise up and overthrow the local government and start a Canis rabbit farm just 'cause they can.
Well, guess you're gonna need to call in civil protection and war.
Yep,
Clear
exactly.
out the
Like
cannabis
we're gonna have
rabbits.
to clear out that surge of Canis rabbits as grown by the carrots. And then the carrots are gonna militarize and it's gonna be terrible. Um, but no, that's
Well,
the
then you have to go out and talk to someone else because obviously somebody's giving them weapons.
You're right. You're right. Maybe that's the deviant lifestyle, the individuals who are running swords and armor to these rebel carrots that have risen up. Um,
There you go. Now you can know what you can do for your deviant lifestyle. Go give weapons to Canis rabbits.
Canis
Hopefully,
rabbits.
they will overthrow the local government.
You know, and you talked earlier about, you want to rule the world. Well, we have just outlined a path for you to rule the world, or at least to.
I didn't say I wanted to rule the
No,
world. I
no,
just
not
like owning the land.
not you, TJ. Just the he who shall not be named citizen of uh
Oh,
of the Duchy of Aratar who decides
of
that
whoever.
of
Well, maybe they're not even of the
oh, you're right.
duchy.
You're right.
Maybe they're from another duchy or
They
another kingdom.
they could be from Fehu. Maybe Boardwheel's got some aspiring young citizens. Um,
Maybe the independent trade cities
no,
or
you're right. You're
independent
right.
cities.
Could be those NPCs. They've been waiting, and then the bombs fell. I'm seeing Judgment Day. Anyway,
And end of the world.
end of the world, Judgment Day, that sort of thing. So that's a basic that's a basic
Or maybe
review.
is it World War of the Worlds?
Oh, War of the Worlds. Well, then they'd have to come from one of the passing comets or planets.
Well,
Maybe they come
maybe a
from the third
deviant
moon.
wished on a shooting star that happened to be a comet that they heard the wish and now they're warring the world.
Yeah, well, if it's on the internet, it must be true. So
Yeah, exactly.
anyway, that's a review of basically
Funny.
those two positions, the Elder of Civil Protection and the Elder of Strategic Acquisitions. When the awakening is at hand, that is true. Um, so we don't have any further dedicated questions that we've outlined in this session. So we're gonna take off and let you guys get back to your lives. I know it's a busy day out there, so um,
Busy. It's only hump day.
you're right. It's only hump day. I mean, it's the over the hill. You've got to put some effort into it. But before we say get to our goodbyes, just a reminder that we, the guests and the hosts of Face the Conclave, we hail from the Conclave of Aratar. If you or a friend of yours is part of the Aratarian community and wish to have a similar spotlight for your group, your school, organization, town, or county, reach out to Jedzia for scheduling. If you have a topic you would like to talk about with the Illyrian community at large, maybe crafting, politics, the economy, deviant lifestyles, PvP lifestyles, lore, and reach out to me, Aspisis, and we'll put something together to discuss in this media forum. Uh, this has been Face the Conclave with Aspisis and my guest here, TJ. Um,
Good night.
See you next time, and goodbye.